I've been looking at potentially entering the Toyota Prius lithium battery market. And so I figured I would look at my competitor's project. So full disclosure, this is a potential competitor, but I wanted to make this video because this NexCell product that is again the competition is severely lacking in engineering quality and safety. And I will concede that this is a lithium iron phosphate cell, so it is much safer than if it were like an NMC. But I see some issues in these cells that I just wanted to put out here, and this is possibly FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And again, this is a potential competitor if I were to enter this market. My background, I'm an electrical engineer. I do power electronics. I sell a similar kit for the first generation Honda Insight. And again, I'm considering entering this nickel metal hydride to lithium market in the Toyota Prius. So I acquired these batteries from a pack that a customer had, not my customer, but a customer, that the customer reported it was having issues. He was getting check engine lights, etc., whatever. And it was actually this specific module here that ultimately was faulting. And if you look at this cell here, you can see that it is very inflated. So it's a magic smoky pillow right there. There are so many things, and so we can just dive in. Of course, I've already taken the top off of this one. These cells have a circuit board, and from what I've gathered, this is a V1 circuit board, which is supposed to be a battery management system. It is absolutely not that. This is essentially a comparator and a voltage reference. So this is probably a P-channel FET here that's going from cell across these 56 ohm resistors. I actually characterized this out, and I figured this is a 19 ohm resistor. Sure enough, it's 56 over 3, which is probably 19. Haven't done the math, don't care. So basically what this does, if you look at the characterization here, at 3.52 volts on these guys, 0 milliamps, and at 3.53 they latch on. The comparator goes high, we get 180 milliamps at 3.53 volts. And I also tested at 3.7 and then 4. And I understand, obviously, that lithium iron phosphate shouldn't get this high, but there's nothing in here that could prevent that. So if you have a cell that gets higher resistance, it's certainly going to go there. So the first issue here is their battery management system on here does not exist. This is total garbage. It's supposed to balance these cells, but the inner part variance and the tolerancing, etc., doesn't guarantee these voltages are going to be the same. And the 3.52, 3.53 volts that these activate in, if you're familiar with lithium iron phosphate, the voltage curve on it is very, very flat until you get to the end of charge. End of charge is typically going to say 3.65, etc. So this is not, in my opinion, it's not high enough on the curve. And you really you can't have this distributed. Every single cell in here, gosh, I have so much to say, oh my gosh. Yeah. Having every single cell be its own little fortress of balancing with no communication with the outside world it's not the correct way to do it. That's putting it very, very nicely. You really need a centralized system where you can send this data to one central thing that can make decisions based on the whole pack. Right now, if you have one of these cells fail, like this cell is failing, this pack's actually warm, we'll talk about that in a minute. If this cell fails and goes above 3.52 volts, there's no limiting this resistance here, right? You could be pushing right now, this is about 230 milliwatts at 3.65 volts, which is a typical max you would expect for a good lithium iron phosphate cell. Of course, the Toyota system is probably limiting that voltage much lower, but probably not too much lower, or this circuit wouldn't work at all. If it was less than 3.53 volts, it wouldn't work at all. So anyway, gosh, there's no script on here. I want to get this video out because I am contending that this system is dangerous to use, even though it's lithium iron phosphate, because there are so many potentials for fire. If your cell resistance goes very high here, and say you go up to 5 volts, 6 volts, 7 volts before the system catches it, or if you have multiple cells that are failing, and so if you're not familiar with the Prius system, it doesn't monitor every nickel metal hydride cell, it monitors them every, N cells in series. And so you could theoretically have a pack that was unbalanced the same way in multiple segments that you're measuring. You would never detect this failure, and then this cell's going to get super hot. It's, again, magic pillow right now. It's quite tautly magic pillowy right now. So case in point here, this again came out of a pack. This pack is only up to 4 years old. let's see, March 27th of 2020. It is the end of 2023. It's December. So this pack is 3.5 years at most. It's probably not that old because you make these and then you sell them for a while. This is a V1 PCB. My understanding is that they're on V2.5 right now. It doesn't matter. No matter what you do on this system, there's nothing you can do to fix the fact that you can't talk amongst the cells. You need a unified system to measure all of these things and make your decisions on the pack and not just the cell. So I'm going to cop out of frame here, and I'm not going to edit this video because I'm just going to upload it. I hate to smear this, and it's not the case. I'm not trying to do that, but it's just that these NexCell modules are not done well. This is just the first of many, many points. This is just for a representation here. This is the product I designed. Again, this is for the original Honda Insight. And we monitor all of the cells here, and then we can make logic decisions on it based on the pack as a whole. You can detect if a cell is out of range. You can send fault codes to where it won't use the pack, or it'll set a check engine light, etc. This doesn't do that. And no matter what you do to this, the V2.5 also just sticks down in this pack. This is just kind of down in there. There's no intercommunication, so no ISO-SPI, no Bluetooth. God, help me if you use Bluetooth. Anyway, don't use Bluetooth for that. But for example, CAN bus, ISO-SPI, something to communicate, to measure these and make a decision as a whole. This is like every little cell is its own person and they're just doing whatever they want. It's like not having zoning in a city. You can just do whatever you want. This cell could be at 0 volts, this one could be at 5 volts, and the system doesn't know. The OEM system can only tell, I don't know what it is, I think it's to within, I don't know. I'm not immediately familiar with the Prius. This is my first jump into it. However, I am extraordinarily familiar with similar vehicles. I've just never looked at the Prius, for example. In the Honda Insight, they're looking at, I think, every 10th tap voltage. Anyway, long tangent there. So anyway, we looked into this cell. This is model DP001. And this is an earlier one, probably because the mold says patent pending here. PriusApp.com, that's Dr. Prius. They've made some changes to these. It was broken opening it, unfortunately. The newer versions have more holes for cooling, presumably, except I'm not really sure where the cooling goes between these cells unless they've made the cells smaller, these lithium cells. Now, these lithium cells, these are just pouches, and so you have to keep them compressed. You can see that this one's not compressed here. There's only 5 in here. I haven't taken one out. This is just where the BMS goes in there by default, and it goes something like that. And then it plugs in here. This also had a whole crap of Kapton tape in here. This is to keep these wires hopefully from shorting out, but gosh. So you don't solder batteries. It's really, really bad for them to solder them. These have gotten super hot to solder them. There's so much solder on here, but you got to tab weld batteries. So this is a much larger battery. This is out of a Ford here, but you can see that here these are probably ultrasonically, they might be tabbed, but this is probably an ultrasonic weld. I'm looking at how the shoe would come down on the electrosonic welder. Regardless, this is the proper way of doing this because you're not adding a lot of localized heat that can go into that cell and ruin the cell before you've ever even used it. Now, so I took this module here and was discharging it because I was already like, ooh, that cell's kind of puffy. So I want to get the energy out of it because I don't want to stick a dynamite in my garage. And so I started discharging this. And so I basically put negative here, positive here, there. I cut this off because I couldn't figure out how to open that. But fortunately, I have more of these cells, so I can play around with them. So what I did is I started discharging these. They're all in series. And before I charged this all up to where all of these circuits were active. They were above the 3.53 volts here. And then I just let it do its thing when they all turn off at 3.52. Now that 3.52 is a function of the voltage reference on this chip here, and because you don't have intercommunication between them, this one could be 3.54, this one could be 3.52, this one could be 3.5. There's no way to tell. There's no second guessing, there's nothing, it's literally on or off. So anyway, I used this circuit, and I basically kept this in a state where at the end of it, these should have all been balanced cells. I then discharged it until the first cell hit 0 volts, which is fatal. This is not something I wanted to recover. And I believe it was this one that hit 0 volts. But I'll have to check here. I don't know if you can see the meter. here. Again, not editing this video, at least this time around. So I believe this one was at 0 volts. Nope, not that one. Hold on. I might have it backwards. You can see though, the point I'm going to get out here, look how mismatched these are. 2.88 volts, that's essentially empty. 3.1, that's insanely different. 3.2, 3.16, these are all over the place. They're not balanced, right? They're just all over the place. Well now, okay, so they've all recovered at this point. I was only discharging this at 20 amps too. I just have a programmable load set to 20 amps. So the one cell dropped down to 0 at 20 amps, and I believe it was this one. It doesn't matter. The point is that these cells are so mismatched because these cells, I haven't taken them out. I'm going to just make a forward-looking statement though, that these cells are not rated to carry the current that's going through them, even though there's 2 of them in parallel. So next thing, these cells are compressed, and you can see that they've bulged. This one's certainly bulged here a little bit. These cells are compressed in the pack. When you put them all together, you know, you put this one next to the next one, etc., and you just keep on a roll in there. And then there's a clamp that, you know, all thread that clamps them together. This cell here is not compressed at all, right? It just has a piece of foam here, and like if you want to see how rigid that foam is, right? Like I can just push that down, and of course there's no foam right here on this little smoky pillow boy there. Like it's not well done. So these guys are not under compression at all. I looked. God, this is just a long. Gosh. Anyway, I looked online here, and there's actually an update program where you as the customer can remove this, which in my case, this was glued on. We had to, you know, we broke this getting it off. You know, it is there. And then there's a bus bar there. I've removed it. And I mean, I suppose I could open another one up. I'm not going to. But I just cut it off because I just don't know how to get this out. These modules are also glued in, which is interesting. At least I think they're glued in. And they're bulging. Yeah, they're definitely glued in. This just isn't the way you build a battery that can handle the amount of current. I'm gonna go grab another battery because the one I showed you earlier was of course much bigger. That's a 47 amp hour battery, whereas this one is probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 amp hours. Don't actually know, I haven't looked, but I'm gonna grab a 5 amp hour battery here, or a couple of them at least. So, here's 2 different battery types. This is the EHW5 module that's used in all kinds of different things. This is a similar one. I call this the 5 amp hour G3 module. It's a 5 amp hour module out of the G3 Honda Insight. It's also used in the Clarity Hybrid, and I think the Acura NSX uses this. A lot of Hondas use this particular module. And they're essentially the same. These have a very different discharge curve from each other. These are also both NMC cells, so this is lithium iron phosphate. And that might be the one saving grace on this pack, is that the lithium iron phosphate is typically a lot safer. Now, again, because we have no management system at all, we can't tell the Prius that something is wrong. This cell here is totally thrashed. It is totally swollen. And again, I'm gonna discharge it, but I'm gonna move this outside. This thing's gonna live outside here because I don't want my house to burn down. I keep about, right now I've got maybe 400 kilowatt hours of lithium in here because this is a hobby gone wild. But this one is the first one where I'm like, nope, that's not staying in the house at all anymore. Like literally as soon as I stop filming this video, this is going outside to be discharged, etc. And further taken apart. So yes, this is not well done. There's no battery management whatsoever. There's no way to tell the car when something's wrong. There's no way to stop power from pushing in and out unless you can trip the OEM system by just having a cell that goes way, way out of spec. But otherwise, you could have 100 amps flowing through here and, you know, 8, 10, 12 volts across it because the cell is failed. And now you've got a kilowatt sitting in there. Kilowatt, that's going to cause problems. The pack's going to melt down. This wire harness, there's no safety elements. These wires, the gauge is too low. These should be a higher gauge if they're going to be unfused like that, because you want to make sure if they short out, because they're literally just kind of taped across here with a single layer of Kapton tape between them. In a lot of professional harnesses, they'll either use a circuit board. So here's one way to do this properly. the Fomoco module I showed you initially, it's kind of in frame here a little bit still. This uses a circuit board with individual fused elements on it. You can also use a circuit board where the traces are just thin enough that they'll burn if they get a short or whatever. The fuses are certainly safer, but slightly more expensive to build. Another method is to use, here's a, I'm just kind of grabbing this off out of places or whatever. This is just a dead dummy module or whatever. These wires in here, even though they're all together, they're super, super high gauge so that if a short does occur, they basically burn immediately. And there's not enough energy as they're burning to spread a fire to sustain it. This plastic is also, you know, a low fire spread. No idea on this, but these wires here, you short them out, you could definitely have a problem down there. And anyway, I haven't even begun to characterize these cells. So I do a pretty long-term test on these, on cells in general, and that data is all public domain. Everything I do is generally open source. Those are not the same thing. The data that I do is public domain, so you can do whatever you want with it. I don't retain any copyright to it. You can find that on my GitHub page. I've done it for quite a few cells. This test, I'll just kind of describe it here. It continues until one of the two following things happen. One, I deem the cell is unsafe because the cell has caught on fire or vented, or the voltage is like outrageously unreasonable. Or two, I'll test it for 3 months. Now the test is basically, I discharge the pack at around 80 amps, and then I charge, or I just do it to a single cell. So I discharge it around 80 amps, and then I will charge it at 52.5 amps. And the discharge is not actually constant current, it's constant resistance, because I literally just use, you know, like 100 feet of 4-gauge wire that I just put either outside or inside, depending on whether or not it's in a cooling or heating season here. Might as well use that energy if you can, if it's cold outside, to heat your house. And anyway, I run that test nonstop. And so on a cell like this, I don't know the size, but it will basically charge and discharge every few minutes. So it's an extremely brutal test. This test, this module rather, this cell, or you know, the one like it, it wasn't this one exactly, ran that test for 3 months with flying colors, and it lost very low percent. So that's just constant charge and discharge. It's so much energy coming in and out, and it just thrashes these cells. And this one did it with flying colors. And this one did it with flying colors. The Fomoco did it with flying colors too. And again, with the Fomoco, this is a 47 amp hour cell. So we were only, you know, discharging it at, you know, 2C, and we were charging it at essentially 1C, so much easier. But of course, in a hybrid, you typically have a smaller pack here that needs to be able to handle that. So this is a cell that's designed, you know, for power density, right? You want to be able to deliver huge amounts of peak power because your hybrid is going, and then you have a gas engine at the other time. This is also from a hybrid, but it's a PHEV, and this one is more designed for, you know, to maximize the amount of energy delivery here. So this cell can only deliver, I think, I don't know, 250 amps or whatever, which is only like a 5C, maybe it's 300 amps, 6C. This one is a 5 amp hour cell, and it can deliver 300 amps. So I mean, that's like 60C. This is 10 times more, this is rated for 10 times more peak power there. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this cell here a little bit, because I think that this is, unfortunately, you know, I really hate to publish a video like this because, you know, the Dr. Prius, Jack, I mean, he's put his heart and soul into this, and, you know, I'm not showing you the most recent version of it, but to my knowledge, the most recent version has not fixed any of these issues. It seems to be still having the same exact cell. I found one other video online where someone took it apart but didn't have the, you know, the engineering experience to know that, hey, wow, there's actually some unsafe things going on in here. So summarizing this video here, we're at 19 minutes. I don't think these NexCell modules are safe to use in the Prius, even though they're lithium iron phosphate, which is a much safer chemistry. And, you know, you can show the videos, you know, where you're puncturing nails in it and all that jazz, and hey, look, it didn't catch on fire. Certainly with an NMC type cell, that's going to happen. You know, it's going to catch on fire, it's going to burn, it's going to sustain or whatever. This can still happen with lithium iron phosphate. Just because lithium iron phosphate is safer doesn't mean it's safe if you don't have a battery management system for it. Of course, there are lots and lots of systems out there that are using a lithium iron phosphate that don't have a battery management system at all. But the difference is that Dr. Prius is selling a pack to Prius customers who just want it to work. And this pack obviously didn't continue working. This customer actually switched back to nickel metal hydride because this system just did not last very long. And I believe that that's a pretty common issue. I think that these NexCell modules are not lasting long out in the field. That's kind of my general take on it when I look out, talk to people. I know a few people in the field here, and I've also talked with Jack and briefly, and then of course one of his employees I've talked with quite a bit. It just kind of in my exploration, and I was forward with him that I might be a competitor, so I'm not, there wasn't any like trickery occurring there. Anyway, this is my thoughts on this module. I will come back with long-term test data that will absolutely occur outside because I'm pretty sure these modules will fail quickly. These individual cells are just, they're not up for the task, this little pouch, uncompressed module there. So yeah, I really wish Jack the best on this, Dr. Prius, but I can't stay silent looking at the profound issues with this. I mean, even just looking at how this is, soldered here, this is not something where I bent that. This is how the cell is soldered. And again, it's soldered. Like, these bus bars too, I don't know how thick they are, but that cross-sectional area could not possibly handle, 100 amps for any length of time. I'm going to hopefully not short this caliper out while I measure this, but this has a black plastic backer on it here. This might be a follow-up video. I'm going to just keep filming. This video is probably done. I mean, this is just a ranty rant, and it's, man, I have some issues. So this is a point, probably 0.025. I'll be generous. That's kind of rounding up. We'll do a little math here. So 0.025 times, I cannot believe I'm in inches. That's 0.4 inches. So seems like this might be done in inches. 0.4, so that is a 0.01 square inch cross section. I'll have to get that in square millimeters. That's what I usually mainly work in. Doesn't seem like a whole lot though. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, I hate to make this video and shit all over someone else's project or whatever, especially someone as passionate as Jack and Dr. Prius community. I know that there are good intentions here, but I just think that there's too much engineering missing from this product. And I don't think that it's salvageable with any kind of circuit board you put in here, unless that circuit board has some kind of header that comes out here, and then you can plug them in and daisy chain and communicate, over ISO-SPI, for example. But that's a big redesign, and of course it doesn't fix the actual cell itself, and then the fact that these are soldered and should be tab welded somehow. It's neat. It's super neat. It's being able to make a pack in quantity and not have to rely on it. So that's my big issue with my various projects. I sell 6 different products right now that are all lithium hybrid focused, and I'm really constrained by getting enough modules here. So because I'm second sourcing them all from recalled vehicles or whatever, and then I rigorously test them. I put my own battery management system on here, so I replace this PCB with something that can plug into this PCB here. It's a disaster now, and that way we can monitor everything safely. And if something goes wrong, we can tell the car something is wrong, and it can stop putting power and discharging the pack. So anyway, that is this unfortunate video. I hate to publish it, but again, I think that these NexCell modules are unsafe. I don't think people should use them. And if you disagree with me on that, I would love to talk to you about it. You can contact me on insightcentral.net. My handle there is Mudder, M-U-D-D-E-R. I would love to talk to you about it. I'm not on any of the Prius forums, and I'm pretty much not anywhere else online at this point. I've kind of given up all social media because it is a huge time sink. So I just am on Insight Central. If If you want to contact me there, let's fight, or rather, let's just chat about it. But yeah, please don't do the low-hanging fruit of, oh, but it's lithium iron phosphate. I've explained why that's not the case here. So that is it. Thank you for watching. If you have an NexCell pack, no, I can't help you. I don't have a product for it now. I am still very much considering entering this arena here for the Prius. It is a much bigger arena. There were 450 times more nickel metal hydride Prii sold than there were G1 Honda Insights. So that's quite a bit more product. And it's just a market that is more available. It's more lucrative, and I don't do any of this for the money. And again, I'm not trying to shit on my competitor because they're my competitor. I'm trying to shit on them because I'm not even trying to shit on them. I just think there are genuine safety defects here, design defects. Yeah, thanks for watching.